Welcome to Backyard Bows. Hey, welcome to Backyard Bows. As you know, I'm Brandon, and today we got another Bowtech bow up. So I put a lot of effort and thought into what bow I'm gonna add to our lineup, especially because I'm buying these bows and there's a good potential chance that I'm gonna end up hunting with one of them. So when I circled back around to Bowtech and kind of going through the list of bows from Bowtech this year, I went with the Solution SS. So a couple of you, actually quite a few of you had suggested the Solution. That was too similar to the SR350 to me. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. So the Solution SS seemed to be the best next bow. So we did the carbon, we did the SR350, you got the CP28, a little bit too short axle to axle at 28 inches for me. You got the Revolt XL, which I loved the Revolt last year. Really nice and smooth bow. And that bow gets up to 33 inches in draw length. So that was another option besides this one that I was going to consider. And then you got the Revolt X80, which is the 80-pound draw weight option of the Revolt. And then you have the Solution SD, which stands for SD short draw. So that's kind of a shorter draw of the Solution. So the Solution SS seemed to be the next best bow by Bowtech. And man, specs-wise, this thing is perfect for me. So again, everybody has their own style of hunting, the game that they're going after, and that kind of, goes into the bow buying process for you. So I'm a whitetail hunter. I climb in, sometimes are in blinds, but I like a nice, more compact bow. Not too short because I have a 29.5 or 30-inch draw length. So I don't want to go under 30 inches, but right at 30 inches seems perfect to me. So this is 30 inches axle to axle, has a 7-inch brace height. It's 4 pounds, goes from 25.5 out to 31, 50, 60, 70 pounds options with a 10 pound fluctuation. So specs wise, this bow is perfect for me. And then also, as you know, I'm comfort over speed all day, and the SS stands for super smooth. So we will see, and we'll give you that single shot assessment here in a little bit. But Bowtech, man, across the board, Bowtech has some extremely smooth bows. So the orbit dampeners, instead of one being up top, one being up bottom, as we saw on the SR350, both of them are down here below, which I actually like them under your hand, kind of absorbing some of that shock from the bottom of the bow. I love their string stops, which is kind of the same one that we see across the board. Something else that I added to this bow that I really, really like and I want to mention is this Tactic Micro from CBE. It's a little 5-pin fixed sight. It's small, it's inexpensive, it's easy to tune in. And it's made out of some nice material. For the price, this is one of, I think, the best sights that we can get. So they got the deadlock limbs and limb bolts. They got the deadlock tuning system that we saw on the SR350, which I also love. Different from the Elite, like we mentioned, where you're kind of, adding and subtracting poundage from limbs. This is just a kind of movement of the cam system. Really easy. It actually says on here one turn out with this bolt, and then right below it there's another which you can turn left and turn right to tune. Make sure you do the same from the top to the bottom, but a really easy system to kind of get that nice arrow flight. I love these cams. I love when any cam has the majority of the cam that sits under the limb, so there's not a ton up top. They're not extremely aggressive, but we'll see that with the IBO rating of 332. But you can tell these things are gonna be smooth. And by looking at a cam, once you look at so many and do so many of these, like you can just look at a cam and tell. But I have a feeling these are gonna be nice and smooth. A couple bolts get taken out. You can rotate that mod around real easy. There's numbers on the backside which give you that draw length. Same with the draw stop here. All you do is adjust it. Really easy to work with. I love Bowtech for that. So this grip, sighting it in, it's a little bit thicker than the SR350, and I kind of mentioned that a lot in that review, that it was just a little bit too thin for me. I like this grip a little bit more. It's a little bit thicker. I love the shape of these. I would add some tape to it probably if it goes into my lineup, and I end up hunting with it just because it is a slick material. But I do like the shape of it. overall, man, this bow, again, specs wise, just from first impressions, it looks like it's like a perfect hunting style bow for me and what I like and prefer. So also Bowtech as a company, man, I love Bowtech as a company. And doing more of these reviews, certain companies have stood out more than me. So before each review, I kind of seek out kind of a miniature interview with a company discussing that bow. I got plenty of questions for them, and they kind of give me, in their words, you know, the mission for that bow that year, and I kind of get a little insight from them. And some companies don't return my phone calls and emails. Some companies do, but they really, you can tell that they're really not wanting to discuss this. Man, Bowtech, they always put someone on the phone with me that is enthused about their bows, answers all my questions, takes their time, and it's just a fun conversation to have discussing their bows, because in the end, I am a client. I am a customer. You know, I'm purchasing these bows to hunt with. So you would think that they would be more responsive, but that's not the case with every company. But Bowtech, man, they have some of the best customer service you can get. So let's do our single shot assessment. I think if it's as smooth drawing as they say, I'm gonna be able to shoot this thing all day. So sometimes if a bow's a little stiffer, a little harder to pull back, I'll have to take my time, kind of shoot a little bit, put it down. But this one, I think I might be able to get a whole bunch of arrows through today. So we'll see. First impressions here. Again, I actually really like this grip. It's a little bit thicker, I believe, than the SR350. Maybe not though. I should have got a measure out and measure it, but it feels a hair thicker. Oh gosh, that's incredible. That's incredible. It's smooth. Obviously, it's smooth. I mean, they're advertising that. They're saying this is one of the smoothest bows of all times. It's extremely smooth, but it feels honestly like you're pulling 50 pounds back. And that's after the first 6 inches. I mean, it's an easy start, but then boom, right there, it just flows back. I mean, like you're pulling back a 40, 50 pound bow. That's incredible. And as you know, I love comfort over speed. I feel like I could pull this thing back in any position in a blind, and any awkward position in a tree stand where it's kind of tougher to draw. This thing, I mean, I could pull it back in any way that you could imagine. This thing would just be a breeze to pull back. Oh gosh. It almost lets off so much, and it's such a smooth, easy transition back. It just lets go halfway through. And I think that's just an adjustment you're gonna have to make shooting the bow more and more. But at the beginning, it's surprising how easy it kind of turns over. Very little vibration in the hand. It's nice and soft and quiet. 332 is still a really nice speed for, you know, again, the style of hunting I do. So what I'm looking for, 20, 30, 40 yard shots, that's plenty fast for me. But man, this is just so comfortable and smooth. This is something that would just be really nice to have in a tree stand in an uncomfortable spot that you find yourself in every now and again. And I think this would just, you know, just make a situation a little easier. But, you know, 30 inches axle to axle, I'm 30-inch draw. So for that being said, it does balance pretty good. It actually leans a little bit to the right. So you kind of got to counterbalance it again. A little bit of mental effort before you shoot, which most of us have a little Rolodex of things that we like to do in our shooting process. And that's one of them, kind of towards the end, is just to balance out the bow, and that's not a big deal. But naturally, it wants to lean a little bit to the right. But it's nice and easy to balance out, and once you kind of get it there, it does hold nice. Overall, this is an awesome bow. This is just, again, each of us have a style of bow that we prefer. Man, this thing is perfect for me and what I want to do. And we'll see once we get it through this chronograph what it really does, what kind of speeds it's really gonna get comparatively to some of the other ones, but I think it'll be a nice 270s. And we're on the comfort side of that flip disc that we've talked about. So those mods, which I mentioned a lot in the SR350, you know, you got the comfort side and you flip them over and you got the performance side. So we'll here in a second, we'll switch it over and we'll do a couple on the performance side and see how much that draw cycle changes. And then again, we'll do it for the speed test and see that as well. See what the difference in speeds are from each side of those discs. But if it's anything like the SR350, it was very different. There were very noticeable changes when you flip that disc. So right now we're on the comfort side and man, you cannot get a smoother draw. I mean, that's just, it's a breeze. It's like nothing. That's incredible. That's incredible. So let's flip them over and we'll kind of do a little single side assessment on the other side of the mod. So first of all, I'd like to say, I love Bowtex cams. You got 3 bolts, each of them come with a little washer. I actually like that little washer. You pop them out. The bolts are really nice and solid. I mean, it's kind of hard to strip them, which some bows you can like, you know, you try to tighten them too much, they strip. These things are just nice and solid. I like that it has 3 bolts. It makes that mod really secure in there. You flip it over and you get a whole new draw cycle, supposedly. So on the SR350, I would have kept it, and I still have it set on the comfort side. It got really nice high speeds. The comfort side to me was so much more pleasant than the performance side, so I kept that one on the comfort, and we'll see kind of which side I would prefer and hunt with this one. So, man, I'll tell you right now, just from one draw, this has a little bit less noticeable difference in the flipping of the disc. It's where it kind of gets really easy to pull back, and like I was saying, it felt like 40, 50 pounds. Now it just feels like 60, but it's extremely smooth still. So you got a really nice light pulling back bow. But you know, as we'll see with the chronograph, it'll get a little bit higher speed. So with this bow, already I can tell you if it's gonna get a little bit more speeds and that's the draw cycle for this, I would keep this one on the performance side. It's still extremely smooth. It's just a little bit, you can just tell it's a little bit tougher and it's gonna get you a little bit higher speeds, but it's still 70, still doesn't even feel like 70. I love this bow. You know, I love all bows. I love every single one that we've shot, for real. But I think the flip disc mod is my favorite module system across the board. I love that that's an option, because I'm a comfort over speed guy, but you know, it's like they created a way for us not to have to choose. If you like speed, you can go with speed. If you like comfort, you can go with comfort. I love that. I mean, that's like such a cool feature on a bow. And with this one, like I said, I would actually prefer the performance, because this is just hands down one of the smoothest drawing bows I've ever pulled back. So if you haven't gone to a bow shop and got the Solution SS in your hands, go do it just for fun. I mean, this is an incredible bow. And I love what's advertised is what's real. So they're saying super smooth. You know, the SR350, I kind of said the opposite. They said the smoothest drawing speed bow, silky smooth speed bow, but it was on the comfort side, but it wasn't when you got those high speeds. This though, advertised correctly, super smooth, both sides of the mod, incredible. Let's go outside and have some fun. All right, so yesterday, it ended up being one of those days where it just gets a little too windy to do these reviews. It kind of makes it unenjoyable. So we waited a day, we got some clear skies, the winds died down a little bit, and now we'll do our little freestyle shoot where we shoot at all the 3D targets in the backyard. We'll go turkey, boar, buck, we'll jump over to the coyote, and then we'll go to the gazebo, shoot some of those longer range shots. This bow, just from the single shot assessment inside, you can tell it's just something that you could shoot all day. I mean, it is an absolute breeze to pull back and to hold this. So let's just get to shooting. And I went and I just kept it, and I think I'm gonna just keep it on the performance side. It's not, It's noticeable, but not nearly as noticeable as the SR350. So you get a little bit more of those speeds, I'm assuming, once we do the chronograph test, but it's not as much of a change in that draw cycle. It's still very smooth. It just feels like you're pulling a little bit more, but the draw cycle has stayed almost the same. The hump is just a little bit, takes a little bit more effort to get over the hump. But gosh, even comparatively to some of the other bows we've done, it's effortless to pull this thing back. On the comfort setting, man, it's too smooth to me. But I love here now at this time of the year, everything's filled in. I wish you could see this angle. All of our 3D targets, they're barely poking their heads out of the foliage that surrounds them. It's just fun time of the year to shoot. Okay, so now we'll do one more shot from up here. And again, we built this deck and then realized to shoot at the targets, it was kind of hard to clear the railing. So we built a box up here that you can kind of step onto. That lets you get over the railing, and then it gives you a nice downward view and assimilates that kind of tree stand. Man, this is probably one of the most enjoyable bows to shoot that we've reviewed yet. The draw cycle, it's one of those things where you're gonna have to just go to a bow shop and get this in your hand, and you do it yourself. It's kind of hard to explain just how nice it is. And don't you love when something's advertised to you that is, you know, accurate? Super smooth. The Solution SS, super smooth. They couldn't be more dead accurate with it. It's incredible how nice this is to draw back. Man, I love this. Absolutely love this. We'll shoot a whole bunch of arrows today off camera, probably a little bit more than we usually do, just because I feel like you're not going to get tired. You could shoot this thing all day. It's nice and light. I guess the one thing about it that it balances, I don't know if it's because both of these are down here, I don't know, it balances a little bit off to the right, I feels like, you know, and then you kind of got to rebalance it. So that's one of the things that you just kind of have to be conscious about. But forward and backward, it holds and balances nice. That way, I love the grip on this, just a little bit thicker than that SR350. But man, this bow, whole thing is effortless. I'm excited to see what it gets with such a smooth draw cycle. I feel like they might be fibbing a little bit about the 332 or whatever it gets on the IBO, but we'll see. We'll kind of see where it compares to some of those other bows. So let's jump over there. We'll shoot some of the longer range shots. So we'll go broadhead buck, which is at 30, black bear, which is at 40, and then we'll jump up to the elk at 50. So besides preference, what is the best part about a smooth draw? To me, when I get excited about a smooth draw or kind of an effortless draw, I think of those times where I'm in a deer stand, you know, and I like to stand up. I like to be in a ready, alert position the whole time. Sometimes you sit down and then that's when obviously the deer comes in front of you and you're, you know, having to awkwardly pull, you know, sitting down in the chair out in front of you or pull over your shoulder. You know, when you're in a tight space, you're trying to balance yourself on a platform or something that's, you know, you don't have a lot of wiggle room to widen your feet and set yourself. The easier that draw cycle is, the better. And you'll find that more and more when you find yourself in those positions. Man, I had that RX4 turbo up in a stand one time and deer came in an awkward position and I could barely get the thing back because it just wasn't in, you know, the draw cycle that you're used to, kind of with your feet set, and you know, it was a really awkward position and I could barely get it back. So I think that's the biggest pro to having a smooth draw cycle besides preference. But let's go, we'll go broadhead buck. But man, I think the You know, it's a really smooth shot cycle. It's very little feeling in the hand, and I feel like all Bowtech bows have the same little thud to them, but it's not anything that's too loud. You know, it's just kind of that same little pop that they have to them. But man, I love this. I love this. I feel like I could just sling arrows all day and either not feel it in my shoulder or not get gassed. You know, and it's gotten hotter and hotter here. Hotter and hotter here in Missouri. And some of these last reviews on the really hot days, like, you know, you gotta take a break in between some of those shots, and I feel like I could just shoot this all day. But let's shoot one more at that blackberry, get one right in between those two, and then we'll go up to the elk. Yeah, I love this. Let's set up for that elk, and we'll do some of these last shots that we'll do on camera at 50 yards, and then we'll shut it off. So, man, one of the best things about this too, and same with the SR350, the hold on these is incredible. The actual back wall. So, you know, occasionally when you have to let them back down, I think I said this in the SR350, but I just, you know, we're setting up for the next shot, and I realize I gotta, you know, put it back down. You kind of have to help it, assist it back down. It doesn't want to go. When these things set up and you're in your back wall, it doesn't want to move at all. It's incredible. Let's go jump up to the elk. Man, I really like the SR350. I really loved the solution from last year and this year. And I don't know why I didn't, you know, it took me a little bit to circle back around to the Solution SS, and I don't know why, but man, I'm glad I did. I'm glad we got our hands on it and did a review on it. This is probably one of my favorites. One of my favorites by Bowtech. And they consistently, ever since I first bought my first Bowtech over the years, they've consistently blown me away with the smoothness of the draws of their bows across the board. I wouldn't be surprised if the Revolt X80 was a smooth draw. Every bow I picked up from Bowtech, it has that same kind of signature smoothness to it. Man, these are just fun to shoot, fun bow to shoot, and I love practice. So I love getting out here and shooting. I love fall and I love hunting, but I love this just as much. And so, you know, this bow being as effortless as it is just fun. And if you're somebody who shoots constantly every day, man, this is a great bow to consider. All right, so speed test. I think my favorite bows to do speed tests on are these, because it's kind of cool that same bow can get two different speeds by flipping that disc. So we'll start out, like I mentioned earlier, what I probably would use this in the field on the performance side on this bow. So we should be getting a higher speed than we will on the comfort side, but we'll do a little bit of both. I'm thinking low 270s, but we'll see. Sometimes I'm surprised. Oh, 276. So again, 100% for me, performance side of the mod on the Solution SS, still nice and silky smooth. I love the draw on this thing, and for that to pump that 500 grain arrow, 276, that's awesome. And that just kind of reassures what I was assuming earlier. Really nice speeds, 277. probably the smoothest draw you can get on the comfort side, still very, very smooth on the performance side. And then you just get a little bit of extra speed, which is kind of the cherry on top. So one more. 279, so almost 280. Man, that is awesome. I would have loved to see it get the 280, so it could have got the 10 out of 10 on speed, but I don't think it's going to. So let's flip those discs and we'll do the comfort side. Okay, so now we flipped them back to the comfort side. And I think this draw is just gonna be even more surprising after you kind of draw it on the performance for a little bit, but oh gosh, that's incredible. So 265, so significantly less. Still very, very fast, and speeds that could get the job done, but that is a nice significant jump. So almost 280 with the performance side on this, down to 265 with the comfort side, which I was actually suspecting that a little bit, 269 there. But it's just such a breeze to pull back. You kind of assume that it really probably couldn't, get speeds over, I would say 270 on the comfort side, but we'll see. We'll shoot one more. So 268. Let's do one more. $269. So yeah, right under 270, right under 280 for the performance. Pretty cool bow, can shoot 2 different speeds, 2 different draw cycles. Again, I love that technology. Really, really cool. Love everything about the Bowtech bows. Any bow that you can just get it right out of the box, you don't need anything else. Get yourself a set of Allen wrenches. I think they're awesome bows for somebody who wants to do stuff at your home and start on that journey of kind of fixing and tuning your bows yourself. Very cool and fun bows to work with. All right, so on to the grade. Speed is what we always start out with. It got the 8 out of the 10 for the speed. It topped out at 275. Again, everything stays the same, 29.5, 85% let off, 70 pounds, 500 grain arrow, 275. So right under 280 is kind of where it stayed. So 280 and under, all the way down to 250-ish will give you the 8 out of the 10. 290. 280 to 290, you get the 10 out of 10. And as we saw last week with the Levitate, I gave a bonus 2 points for anything over 290. So starting off with 8 out of 10 for the speed, quality, also 8 out of 10. I like these machined risers. Everything seems very solid. I love the way their limbs and limb pockets come together. Something I didn't mention earlier in the talking points, but the cable guard is also one of my favorite cable guards that we see. It has a little bitty dampener on it, really nice and contained. And then when you put it on a press and you let the pressure off that string, you can actually tell that this has a little bit of torque to it that takes that off of the spring, off the cables, and kind of gets those out of the way, but it kind of keeps them really nice and secure. I love these cams. Anytime you have a tuning system built into the cam system, I always feel like there's a little bit of room for error to happen with so many moving parts and so many bolts that can come undone, that kind of thing. So I got the 8 out of 10, which is still, a really high, nice quality score, which is what we see on most of these flagship bows. Next, appeal, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I love the way this bow looks. I love it, nice, compact. Even the last just couple years of Bowtech, all of their risers, I really like them. I love the way these cams, everything goes on this bow. Bowtech has consistently put out to me some great looking bows over these past couple years. And again, it's a completely preference. The lower end we give maybe a 7, 8, and then a 9. I think I've given one bow a 10 out of 10, but again, that's all just my preference. which I know goes into your bow buying process. No matter what we all say, it does. Most bows that catch our eyes, you want to be attracted to the bow that you're using, and then obviously all these other factors go into it too. But I know there's a whole bunch of people that if it's in their budget, they go after bows that they're attracted to. So next, technology. Anything that you can get out of the box that you don't need anything else for except an Allen wrench, we give you the 10 out of a 10. So this thing, completely self-efficient, self-serving bow. You don't need anything but what you get. 10 out of 10 for that. And then the performance, 9 out of 10. Honestly, an effortless bow to shoot. Extremely easy to just right off the bat, from the first arrows I flung out of this thing, I was just right on. And sometimes it takes me a couple shots with different bows to kind of get dialed in, but man, this one just right from the beginning. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have never shot one of these, get into a bow shop just for fun, get one in your hand and pull that thing back. It is a breeze to pull back. Surprisingly effortless, really, really smooth. It's the definition of a smooth drawing bow, which, like I mentioned earlier, it is preference. There, the smoothness of a draw, the effortless of a draw can come into play when you get into tight spots or uncomfortable positions, but for the most part, it is preference. But man, that is unbelievably smooth. I love when a bow is advertised to you exactly what it is, and there's full truth to the advertising. They named this thing the Solution SS. SS stands for super smooth, and it is. So love what Bowtech's doing. I've always loved what Bowtech has been doing. And man, to me, it's with Bowtech especially, it's kind of hard for me to visually see in the future where they're going to keep going, because man, they always just produce these unbelievably smooth bows with some amazing technology that goes into them. I love Bowtech. I mentioned inside, Bowtech as a company is one of my favorite. I appreciate you guys, every question you guys have answered of mine, which I always have a ton. So Bowtech is a great company to go with if you're an experienced hunter or if you're a beginner. Fantastic company across the board. So it gets it plus extra too. It's about $1,150 for the bow. So a nice 46 gives you that 92 grade. Fantastic bow, one of my favorites so far. I will be having this thing in my hand during the hunting season. This one's gonna go on my shelf, which I'm gonna keep for a little bit. And as always, don't buy a bow off a single bow review. Get into a bow shop, get tons of bows in your hands. I'd never expected this to be this smooth. I loved, kind of the surprise I had from drawing it back the first time. So get a whole bunch in your hands. I think you will be surprised too. Don't be a fanboy. The ball is in our court as hunters. Make sure that you keep a open mind when it comes to buying your bow, because man, there's some really good bows out there and some companies that are really doing some cool things. So make sure you get your reps in. We'll see you next Saturday.